And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of October 29th, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The warm beach sand. Great for playing volleyball, strolling hand in hand, and building sandcastles. But if you get stuck in it, it's no picnic. When I come back, I'll give you the scoop.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like the expression suggests, spinning your wheels just gets you nowhere but deeper in trouble. Here's what to do. If your car sunk less than axle level, let some air out of your tires and gently ease forward. Then let your car roll back. Repeat this ease forward, roll back rocking until you've carved out a little runway. Then, with wheels straight, gently throttle out of the hole. But if you're in so deep your undercarriage is resting on the sand, too late. Keep cool while you wait for the tow truck. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The Lone Ranger had Tonto, Eeyore had Pooh, and Dorothy had the Good Witch Glinda. But now, Guardian Angels have gone high-tech. When I come back, I'll tell you what's on the horizon.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Remember the robot in Lost in Space who warned, "Danger, Will Robinson"? Well, Delphi Automotive Systems is putting the technological advances of the 22nd century into the 21st. Forewarn, its collision alert package uses microwave radar sensors to help drivers assess and react to objects in their forward paths. These sensors evaluate threats and feed information to a collision avoidance computer, which then issues mechanical, visual, and audio warnings. Wow! Thanks to futuristic technology, rear-end collisions could be 20th century history. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. These days, we worry about traffic jams and pollution. But 100 years ago, they were concerned about things quite different. When I come back, I'll bring you up to date on the last century.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The first century's barbarians have little on the ferocious Farmers Anti-Automobile Society, or FAAS, of the early 20th century, which set rules for car owners such as autos traveling at night must stop every mile, send up a flare, and wait 10 minutes. If a driver saw horses coming, he must pull off the road and cover his car with camouflage. And after worship on Sundays, FAAS members were encouraged to chase cars and shoot at drivers. Ironically, the FAAS operated near Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Fred and Ginger showed off the cha-cha, and Gap kids made the country two-step tray chic. But I'm going to teach you the piston tango. When I come back, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Rainbow Room was famous for dancing, but the newest craze, the piston tango, is grooving under your hood. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes. 1, intake stroke. Pistons move downward and fill cylinders with fuel-air mixture. 2, upward stroke. Compresses that mixture, which is then ignited by spark plug. 3, the downward power stroke that drives the engine. And 4, pistons come back up and expel burned gases through the exhaust. Your perfectly synchronized piston. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Remember Johnny Cash's hit, A Boy Named Sue? If you think that's far out, wait till you hear what they almost call the horseless carriage. When I come back, we'll play the name game for automobile.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What's in a name? When it comes to cars, plenty. If Oliver Evans had his way in 1792 when applying for a patent on his steam land carriage, today we'd be driving a Ructors Amphibolus. Whew! Other earlier suggestions included oleo locomotive, buggy out, and motor rig. Thank goodness for a 14th century Italian named Martini, who christened his design automobile. Auto, Latin for self, and mobile, Greek for moving. But just imagine if Signor Martini named his creation after himself. United Auto Workers would be United Martini Workers. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, our 888 Car Clinic number is ready in action, and so is Miss Hannah. She will take your calls and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air if you have a car question or just want to tell us about and share with those tuned in across the nation and the globe, really, at watchbobbylive.com. That's watchbobbylive.com. And share a story of maybe a service shop, whether it's an independent or a chain store or a dealership that really did you well this week and provided for you a service that you need to keep your car running and safe, and also they did it with style, the style that you like. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can sign up to be an O Rewards member today and earn 1 point for every dollar spent. You receive rewards twice as fast and on the go when you provide your email address. O Reward members get a $5 reward for every 150 points you earn. It's fast, easy, and free, and only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts. And I have to say that in our facility, going on 47 years, or within our 47th year, we're fortunate that we have an O'Reilly Auto Parts store about a football field away from our service. So we get really great service. And speaking of football fields, coming up Tuesday, SEMA, Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association.
This week, we had an 05 Chevy Silverado towed in with a gear shift lever refusing to go into park. Folks, the owner was visiting Florida on vacation and was stranded. The truck shifted just fine in reverse, drive, and neutral, but not going into park meant the key wouldn't come out. Upon closer inspection, we determined the shift lever actuator unit was the cause, and right away, we called our O'Reilly Auto Parts counterman, explained our situation, and told him we needed the part ASAP. I'm sure the folks at O'Reilly Auto Parts hear the same story from every shop in town, but to our delight and our traveling customers, they delivered the part in less than an hour. The truck was fixed, our customer back on the road, and everyone smiling. What a terrific experience it was to have fast, friendly, almost instant parts delivery from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Just one more reason we depend on O'Reilly Auto Parts, and that's why our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Car repairs can get expensive, and most folks don't have spare money laying around for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. A vehicle recently came into our car clinic service shop and was using a lot of coolant. A test showed an internal coolant leak, head gaskets likely. This was an older vehicle, so there was definitely some question as to whether it was worth the fix, as repairs could easily cost a few $1,000s. The car was still nice and safe, and the customer was not particularly ready to buy another vehicle. From our past experience and our car clinic listener stories, we poured a bottle of K-Seal into the cooling system, topped off the level, and took it for a test drive and let it cool. The owner continued to drive the car for a week or so, checking the coolant level daily, and pretty soon, the level stabilized. K-Seal did the trick. That was several months ago, and it's still holding. In this case, K-Seal turned a coolant leak casualty into a cash saver. You can pick up K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. So as I mentioned in the open there, and I always run out of time, time just moves on. And Fabio, you're so great about the breaks. I mean, you're always on time, which means I have to get out. But what's fun about that is that we do run a timely program, and I'm proud to say that over the total Saturday program, which is 2 hours back to back, whether you can tune into one or both or the other, the first or the second. This is the first, from 10 till noon Eastern time every Saturday. So it's a fun time for us, and our team does a great job. Jonathan and Fabio and Hannah, they're in the control booth, and I can see them through a 5x5 double pane window that we built and designed for this studio. And the studio was really a neat place to be. It's a great place to be to talk with you on Saturdays. It's also a great place to be here in Florida in case another one of those hurricanes arrives, because the floor of the studio weighs about 10,000 pounds and it's off grade, so it doesn't have vibrations and what have you. And heaven forbid if any water should ever come into here, it would be we're 6 or 8 inches above the standard grade, and of course that just won't happen. But the bottom line, I invite you to participate and to share stories, and if you have a good story about your service provider, or if you have a question about your car and what you should do to keep it in better health, just consider me your personal car consultant. The number's 888 Car Clinic. It's 888-227-2546. So at the open of the program, I mentioned football fields. What does that have to do with SEMA? SEMA is the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. And more or less, years ago, a group of hot rodders got together and they said, why don't we, have a meet, and that's what car guys like to do, and talk about, my car's faster than yours, and that's where I'm sure the pink slip came up about a ratio and those sorts of things. In the salt flats, I mean, all of that original, the heritage and just the background for automobiles, whether it's racing, like I think of Daytona Beach and the Daytona International Speedway. I think of Indianapolis, Indiana, which is also, I think those two, and the Grand Prix, they call it, Le Mans, it's probably, are probably the 3 most significant races of the year. And there are a lot of other races too. Laguna Seca in California, there in the wine country. It's a beautiful place. But the Salt Flats is another area that has deteriorated, and there's a Save the Salts organization now. And I'll tell you a little bit about that a little later in the program, because here this week, starting this coming Tuesday, SEMA starts. And this will be, 24 years for me. I will not be going this year, but for 20 plus years, I did attend every year, and just amazed. And so back to the football field story, there are 2 million square feet of booths. And think about it. And we've all been to carnivals and the fair and those sorts of things. Well, and also to craft shows, and maybe at the theater or at our civic center, where we had here in our fair city, we had WSRE Public Television, of which I was on the board, and was proud to be part of that organization for many years. We decided to have our annual event, a fun event, at the Civic Center one year, and we went from what was the Bay Auditorium, which was the size of a regular auditorium. And you say, well, what's a regular one? Well, a regular one for Pensacola, I guess maybe was 12, 15,000 square feet. Yeah, that would be fair to say. But here we are moving from a rather small facility to the Civic Center one year, and we said, gosh, we hope that we don't look like we're really growing too fast, and because we love that intimate feel at this event. And sure enough, at that time, the Civic Center was an ice rink. So I was concerned about, what are we going to do? How do you cover that ice? Well, I didn't realize at the time, just, you'd be surprised, like your cars, folks. If you don't really know what's going on under the hood, you don't realize there are solutions and special insulators and isolators like motor mounts and those sorts of things that keep you isolated from the workings of the vehicle, just like at the Civic Center. They laid down these thick mats. And believe it or not, you could walk barefoot on the mats and barely feel the cool from the ice below. So it was really very interesting. And to that end, I'll never forget that we had one year a truck, one of those monster meets. And that was the first one that I'd ever attended. Actually, it was the last one I ever attended as well. It really didn't float my boat. It was really noisy, but what was exciting was to watch those trucks run over other cars and run across 30, 40, 50, whatever miles per hour, and then stop at the other end, because you've got a Civic Center that's shaped like an arena. It's an ice rink, so it's not like there was a lot of room there. But getting back to the football fields in SEMA, with 2 million square feet, as I understand, I did the math one year, and if you visited a booth, and these booths can be, now think about it, 10 by 10, so 10 feet by 10 feet. And then if you want to buy a bigger booth, you get 20 by 20. Ford Motor Company goes across one of the, I think it's in the North Hall, goes across the complete hall, which is about, I'm going to say 300 feet. That's right, a football field, and maybe 300 feet by 60 wide, as I remember. And that's a conservative estimate. And of course, Ford would bring, like all the OEMs, and originally this was aftermarket, so the OEMs started to participate, because they said, hey, we want to go there and, number one, see what the automotive guys are doing, because we can bring some of what they're doing to our new cars. And to that end, now you hardly see a new car that doesn't have aluminum wheels. Well, manufacturers didn't start that. Also, wire wheels were part of that way back. Aluminum wheels, and then especially in the trucking industry, or pickup trucks, you have the bed covers and steps and all those sorts of really neat things that people, guys, and I say guys mostly that I know, that own trucks, that really enjoy. Most of those innovations were from individuals and individual companies, small companies, that took their wares to SEMA and showed them off, and the OEMs went there. So now all the OEMs that I can think of, I don't think Mercedes was there, but the Kia and Ford, and I won't go through the names, you know the names, and they would have engines, they would have old Mustangs, they would have new Mustangs, they would have a concept car, jacked up trucks and lifts and what have you. And the first year that the EcoBoost engine was offered by Ford Motor Company, I was at SEMA, and I went over and talked to there were two gentlemen. One was an engineer, and I'm not sure the other, but they were there at SEMA, and I walked over to inquire about the V6 and how they got out of 3.5 liters, 350 horsepower. Well, now they're pressing 500 horsepower, same engine. It's unbelievable. I said, how does this work? And tell me more. And of course, it had direct injection, which is efficient and it really gives better atomization of the fuel. Then they had twin turbos, and turbos, if you don't know what they are, they're a turbocharger is a turbine that spools up to 100,000 RPM and forces more air in the lungs of the engine when the engine opens its mouth. When you open the throttle, that's the mouth of the engine. And what's really neat is the turbocharger is driven by the exhaust. So the more that you put into the engine, the more powerful the exhaust. And it's unbelievable, so much so that all turbos are controlled by waste gates. So when the pressure exceeds the limitations of the engine, the limitations of the engine, not the limitations of the horsepower, the limitations of the mechanical pistons and heads, believe you me, that it's not an explosion, because it's really not an explosion, but the burning of air and fuel on top of a piston that expands the hot gases and pushes the piston down, which turns the rear wheels, or the front wheels, if it were. That turbocharger can make 200 extra horsepower, 300. It can make 1,000 extra horsepower, depending on how heavy duty the head is and the piston. So you could take a little engine. In fact, there have been, and there was a company 3 or 4 years ago that ran 273 miles an hour, I remember. I think that was the speed of it. I'll have to do my math, so don't quote me on that. But the fact is, 1,300 horsepower out of a 5-liter Ford with alcohol fuel, which has higher octane, and twin turbos on top of twin turbos. 4 turbos. What do you mean 4 turbos? So if you've got a spool up 100,000 RPM and you've got an exhaust that pushes it, why not put a little small, tiny turbo to get it spooled up faster so you have no lag, like instant horsepower? And there's the music, so I have an instant break. Thank you, Fabio. And I come back, and we'll talk with Stan and take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. Short-distance driving means your battery is not fully recharging. AGM batteries are more efficient than traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. They consume less power from the alternator. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more AGM advantages at autobatteries.com.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
October is Fall Car Care Month. There's no better time to perform a thorough check of vehicle maintenance items before harsh weather hits. Check your battery and its charging system, as colder weather can strain both. Keep battery terminals free of dirt, grime, and oxidation to ensure a clean connection and a stronger charge. Clean and flush your cooling system, as new coolant will help rid your radiator of rust, dirt, and sludge, and will help prevent your engine from overheating. Daylight savings means it's a good time to check all exterior and interior lights and make sure the headlights are properly aimed and the lenses are clear. Winter is an especially important time to check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale, with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So the bottom line with SEMA, the 2 million square feet, that if you were to visit each booth in the booth could be, as I said, the Ford booth, which is 60 by 300, or a 10 by 10, or 20 by 20. But the numbers of the booths were just amazing at the Las Vegas Convention Center there, and also at the another convention center, the Sands Convention Center. Yeah, so there were two different sites. But if you were to visit each booth for 6 seconds, and then automatically go to the next booth, if you could instantly go bap, 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 6 seconds and visit 10 booths in a minute, then it would take you something like 2 weeks to visit all the booths that were there. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I want to remind you that October is Car Care Council reminds you that October is the Fall Car Care Month. So this month is a little chilly, a little chill in the air. So just remember that your car is going to react differently from what it did when the temperature was 30 degrees cooler or warmer. So as the engine, the oil, it gets a little thicker in the wintertime. The humidity changes in the wintertime, the cool air. So your engine needs to make sure that the fluids have been checked and what have you. So the bottom line, our partners at the Car Care Council, we want to remind you that October is Fall Car Care Month, and you can visit carcare.org to learn how you can keep your vehicle safe and dependable and on the road longer. Makes sense to me. We take a call from Stan, and I'll remind you that the number is 888 Car Clinic or 888-227-2546. That's 227-2546. Stan, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, good morning. I am doing fine, considering I am recovering from a little bike crash that I had this week. So I have some extra time. I said, I've got to let your listeners know about this remarkable thing that was published in Auto Week. It seems that Andy Cowell, who's managing director of Mercedes-AMG High Performance Powertrains,
right,
produces Mercedes F1 engines, and he went in May, after everybody had seen them and they knew how good they were, he went ahead and made a presentation. He said, in the history of the automobile, the figure of energy percentage from a combustion engine that moves the car forward, as opposed to being lost in heat, has slowly crept up. Over more than a century, until 2014, the vast majority of engines were capable of 35% thermal efficiency. In 2014, the Formula One guys all said, wouldn't it be great if we could produce a power plant with greater than 40% thermal efficiency? At the same time, many, many experienced people said, that's impossible. You'll never do it. And in the end, the thermal efficiency of the Cowell's Mercedes engine is now over 50%. Half of the energy available in gasoline just goes toward propelling the car forward.
Well, that truly is amazing, and when you think about it, and folks, to really emphasize what Stan just mentioned was that historically, 10 or 12% of the energy from the gasoline, thermal energy, the heat, the pressure that pushes the piston down, as you said, Stan, that drives the car, that's all that was extracted, and the rest was lost heat and pressure. So when you think about converting a flammable liquid into energy and extracting all the BTUs and all the pressure that you can from that chemical, that mixture of chemicals. And by the way, Stan, you know there are more than 1,000 chemicals in gasoline. It's some pretty wild.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's some pretty wild stuff. Anyway, so that is really interesting, and I'd love to see that Formula One. I'd love to be in the build room, back in the air conditioned, and it would look like, and I've been to the Dale Earnhardt racing facility. I did not. We were not allowed to go into the rooms because they were building engines, so they don't want people coming in to something falling off their clothes. And that's a white room. It's like an operating room. But we did walk down the hall and stand in this facility at DEI, Dale Earnhardt Enterprises. The engines, they had about, I guess, if I remember, 12 or 15 engines on a rack on the floor that were already built. And I looked down, and I kind of lagged behind, and there were, I guess, a half a dozen of us there, or maybe 15 guys. And I looked at some of the tags on the engine, and it had the horsepower rating like 747 at 34, and 752 at 32. And the 32 to 34 was the degrees of timing, as I remember, for each one of those engines. So what that meant was that was the sweet spot and the most horsepower that they could extract. And they would, of course, they had dynos that would fire the engine, and a human, built the engine. They put the engine on a dyno. And folks, a dyno is a test stand that runs the engine in place, that measures the power, the horsepower, and the torque of that engine. And it is hooked to the flywheel, and I've actually used one of those. But the bottom line, a human doesn't really start the engine. A human pushes a go button, and a computer holds a throttle at a certain place, fires the engine, brings it up to RPM specifically at a certain RPM, and keeps it there so that every initial startup can be simulated and duplicated so that the maximum horsepower available out of engine 1 and engine 1001 are the same. And if engine 998 is a more powerful engine, and albeit the same kind of engine, then they'll know what was done differently. Maybe the startup was a few hundred RPM different, or maybe the cylinder heads. And at DEI, Stan, they did not stock any racing cylinder heads on a shelf. They took a core, and by the way, each bare head was an aluminum billet, as I remember, and it was supplied by like GM, and it was put on a CNC machine and machined, and every head would have a little bit of different angle here, a little bit of different airflow here and there, and they created new heads. They just didn't make 1,000 heads and put them on the side and put the engine together, because there's no experimentation there. So every time they build an engine, they do a little something differently, and a little something that's a change to extract the most horsepower. So yeah, I would love to be in that F1, and folks, what Stan talked about was a F1 Mercedes engine. Where was that release, Stan? Where was that engine? Was it in Germany, or do you know?
Well, the interview was at their assembly plant, and by the head of it, and this is now. Mercedes looks like it's walking away with the championship again, and even though they continue to improve their engines all year long, that's really quite something. It says that they ran 3,000 miles at Barcelona last winter, and they said that the thermal efficiency figures of 50% can produce about 1,000 horsepower. That's out of 1,600 cc turbocharge.
1,600?
Yeah.
1,600, folks. That's what is that? 1,000 is 62 cubic inches. So 6 to 630. So that's amazing. That's 22. That's 100 and see 60. That's 113. Is that right? 62. So I'll have to do the math.
The engines. They have several things that they've been doing. One of the things is to try to push not only the combustion engine, but produce they also have energy recovery system, so that on braking, they charge a battery, and they have electric motors on it. And the electric motors both drive wheels in addition to the internal combustion engine, and the electric motor also is another one that keeps the turbocharger spooled up. So whenever they step on it, they have full speed, zero lag. It's just an amazing thing.
Well, that's certainly.
And,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just thought that your listeners might like to hear what I believe is kind of the forefront, and people are not giving up on IC engines. I know Mazda said that they've got a combustion gasoline engine that's going to be 20 to 30% better than the current ones they have. So keep tuned, boy. All things are breaking loose, and automotive technology.
That's for sure. Hey, Stan, thanks for your call. Always great to hear from you.
Thank you, sir. It's great to talk to you.
And to that end, folks, not only the Mazda, but the Nissan engine, and the big news this year, although it's been probably 5 years in the making, is an engine that is has mechanical rotation devices in it that change the piston location and the height of the piston. Now, what does that mean? Well, when a piston comes up to the top of the block, right? Well, that's right. And then the cylinder head's on top. So whatever that pocket is when the piston is all the way to the top, and that's the combustion chamber. So if you've got 100 cc combustion chamber with the piston all the way up, and then the piston goes all the way down, you got 1,000 cc's to fill the chamber, you have 10-to-1 compression ratio. That's how that works. So that's the geometrical location or volume of the compression. So Nissan has a device that rotates and can adjust the position of the piston at top dead center. It can be all the way up and have something like 14.1 to 1, or it can be 2/3 of the way up or down an inch or whatever it has to be to only produce 8 to 1. And you say, well, why would they want to do that? Well, because once you're cruising on the road like a boat, once you get up on a plane, you can back off the throttle and have fantastic MPG and efficiency. And so you have the ability to use the 14-to-1 compression ratio at cruising, and then when you're accelerating to a cruise and you need the turbo, you can back the compression down to 8 to 1, so the turbo gives you the power, and you have your cake and eat it too. It's fantastic. Hey, on the phone with us is Tricia Morrow, and that's the Global Safety Strategy Manager for General Motors. So when I come back from the break, we're going to talk with her. We're going to take a call from David in Missouri, and Hannah's going to take your call at 888-227-2546. That's 888-227-2546. Hey, this week, I get a note from the Car Care Council on my website saying, Bobby, it's time to maintain and service your Jag, and here's the mileage. And their estimated mileage was about 450 from the actual mileage of my car. It was unbelievable. Stay tuned. We'll be back. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. Call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. We'll put you in the Car Clinic queue, and I will put you on the air. Folks, next week is Halloween, and that means more children out on the streets. This holiday is one of the most anticipated for many young children. However, it can also be one of the most dangerous nights of the year. According to Safe Kids Worldwide, children are more than twice as likely to be hit by a car on Halloween than any other day of the year. On the Car Clinic hotline with me now is Tricia Morrow, Global Safety Strategy Manager with Chevrolet. Tricia, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we get started with the details about your position and the strategies at GM, first, tell us about your role at Chevrolet. It sounds important.
So at Chevrolet, I am a safety strategy manager. So, in short, we think a lot about safety, and we study how people use our vehicles and how they may get hurt on the road. And we really try and create features and functions that can help the driver drive a little bit better or help keep them safer out on the road.
Well, distracted driving, of course, and even walking for that matter, is always a concern. As so many of us lead our connected lives nowadays. What advice can you give and would you have for our Car Clinic listeners and viewers for drivers and trick-or-treaters to avoid accidents?
You mentioned distractions, and avoiding distractions is so important when you're driving. Your primary task behind the wheel is driving, and it's important to keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel at all times. And that means if you have a phone in the vehicle, maybe think about storing it someplace where you won't be tempted to handle it while you're driving. Make sure that you always use the in-vehicle Bluetooth or Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for hands-free cellular use in the vehicle.
And of course, to that end, you mentioned vehicles. Most of the late model vehicles have the safety alerts and that technology, pedestrian technology, as I understand. How can drivers take advantage of the latest technology, and especially with heavy foot traffic on nights like Halloween?
The active safety features that Chevrolet offers on our vehicle have been proven to reduce crash speeds or avoid crashes altogether. So we really recommend that you always keep your active safety features on. Things like rear cross traffic alert or pedestrian braking are really important when there's so many young people out at night.
What about parents and drivers on Halloween night? What's your number one, piece of advice, for lack of a better question, to ensure a safe and fun trick-or-treat evening?
If I had to give one piece of advice for Halloween or any time during the year, it's to wear your seatbelt. We know that wearing your seatbelt is the number one thing you can do to protect yourself in a crash. So we really need to make sure that every person, every seating position, every time has their seatbelt on. And that Halloween, if your costume is a little bit larger or gets in the way of the seatbelt, really need to make sure that we take that costume off so the seatbelt fits properly and can do its job.
So Tricia, as Global Safety Strategy Manager for Chevrolet, and I understand, of course, you're not only an engineer, but you're a mother too, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers, number one, how that role fits with regard to being an engineer at work. And of course, I understand you're a mother at home. Will you be out trick-or-treating as well?
Well, I will absolutely be out in full force on Halloween. My girls and I are all going as kitty cats. But I'll tell you, it's so rewarding to be an engineer at Chevrolet and also be a mom. You know, I get to go to work every day and make our cars safer, not only for my family, but for everyone's family, for my friends. And it's really great that I'm able to, you know, share that with my girls and really, you know, it's really become a part of our life.
I think it's important, and folks, it's important for me and for you and everyone who's driving, whether you have children or not, or you're out with a child, to understand the features of your car, as Tricia, as you have explained, and also the fact that when you're on foot, you have to watch out for the automobile as well. It's a two-way street. Tricia, sure, thank you for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I wish for you continued success, and GM, of course, and also as a mom, you be safe Halloween evening.
Thank you so much for having us. Have a great Halloween.
And you know, this, what is it, Wednesday, is that right, Fabio, is Halloween. So, folks, with Halloween really fast approaching, our partners at the Car Care Council want to remind all of you to drive slowly, and especially through neighborhoods. Now, I know we all know to do that, but specifically, a dirty windshield, you know, may look spooky, but it really, it does assist you in seeing children crossing the street. It really. If the weather turns for the worst, cracked or torn wiper blades can also pose a problem. So check that all of your vehicle's lights are working for maximum performance and the visibility that you need. And the executive director of the Car Care Council is Rich White, and he says motorists can help keep young pedestrians safe on Halloween by reminding children of basic safety rules, taking extra precautions when driving through neighborhoods, and inspecting vehicle safety items such as brakes. So you wouldn't think about the brakes of your cars. Halloween, you know, you step on your brakes and they work, but folks, a vehicle's brake system is one of the most critical safety items on a vehicle. Pads wear out, and eventually you have to replace them. So there are a lot of factors that affect brake wear, including how you drive, and the operating conditions, and of course the type of the vehicle, and the quality of the brake pad lining. The bottom line, never put off routine brake inspections or any needed repairs, such as letting the brakes get to the metal-to-metal point, because that's dangerous and can lead to more costly future repairs. And again, for more information about how to maintain your automobile, tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, of course, on Saturday, but also go to carcare.org and check it out. I mentioned earlier that this week I received a reminder from the carcare.org site, because I went there and you can put in your VIN and your mileage, average miles that you drive, and enter your car. Now, there's no charge for this, and you will receive reminders of what is coming up, like the 50,000 mile or the 60,000 mile or the 20,000 mile inspections, and not only that, what that includes. So you can know ahead of time, before you go to a service shop, what your car basically needs for the mileage that your car has. It's really not only helpful, but it can prepare you to better understand what the charges are and what your car needs to be safe and keep you on the road and off the side of the road. That's the main thing. Carcare.org. 888 Car Clinic is the number. Give us a call. Hannah will take your calls and put you in the queue, and then, of course, I will put you on the air. I think it's really neat that Tricia Morrow, and by the way, Tricia's an engineer with GM, the lady I just spoke with. She's the Global Safety Strategy Manager and a mom. And yes, she'll be out trick-or-treating this weekend, but I think it's really interesting. And her words were more about the safety factors of a car, and you being, although maybe if you read between the lines, you understanding what the car has, like the ABS brakes and the lane warning and pedestrian warning, all the new safety factors. And people ask me all the time, Bobby, what would you do? You know, would you buy a new car? And this is specifically about buying new cars. Would you buy the first year the car came out, or wait till they get it right? And years ago the answer was, give it a year or so. Not anymore. If you're going to buy a new car, buy the latest car you can get with all of, not only the bells and whistles, depending on your budget, but also you'll get all of the safety features that are later technology than the predecessor. And I'll tell you, the safety issues that we see, or the safety assets that we see on today's new cars, make you, me, and everyone else a better driver. Let's go to Washington, take a call from Larry. Larry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Last Saturday I was listening to your show, and then I headed over to Spokane, and my mom's Toyota RAV4, they said it had 100,000 miles on it, and she needed a $6,000 repair.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, that didn't seem right. So I went and got some K-Seal, put it in there, and there's not been a leak in it since.
Wow. What is she going to do with the $6,000?
Well, you know, she just turned 79, and I wanted to make sure that the guys were being honest with them over there. And I don't know much about cars in that regard, but they didn't even give her a printout of all the things that needed to be done. They just told her $6,000. So for $15, we fixed the leak, and she's driving that car.
Well, it just doesn't get any better than that. And I'll tell you, I've seen that happen again and again. And to that end, she's got a 96 RAV4, but for us, Larry, we see cars that are even younger than that, 2001 and 2 and 3 and 5, cars that had, say, a radiator problem or a water pump problem. And just this past week, now that you spur my memory, we had a Jeep that one of our technicians, and Tommy, he just does a great job, and we installed a used engine so that we could better save our customer money. But she drove the car, and she knew the engine was overheating, but the radiator had gone south, and she was on a bridge and had to get off the bridge, and by the time she got to the other end, the engine had gone south. What we did was we replaced the radiator, we cranked up the engine, but it was actually had a hole in the piston. It actually it melted the top of the piston. So rather than to take the engine apart, and this is, I compare this because you talk about that shop and the options they did not provide, or the information they did not provide. And for all you shop owners, this is a good lesson to learn, because here you've got Larry in Washington, whose mom really didn't get the information that she really needed. And Larry, I'm glad you heard me on the air talking about K-Seal, because that saved her a ton of money. In the case of our customer whose Jeep could not be repaired, rather than to take the engine apart, because we saw the oil and the water and the exhaust, and we knew that it had a piston. Once an engine is damaged to the extent that it melts a piston or damages a cylinder wall, then you best replace that engine, because when you put one part in, another one needs to be replaced, and so you always have, going forward, an issue. So it's either, and the moral of this story, as I see it, as it unfolded here, is in your case, Larry, if you really, when you got a vehicle that's so hot that it has internal engine but it's not destroyed, there's absolutely everything to gain and nothing to lose by putting K-Seal in it, and to see what happens. In your mom's case, that was a terrific asset, and I'm really proud of that. I'm glad you called me this morning. What's the weather like in Washington?
Well, it's not too bad. It's probably going to be 60 today, and my mom lives in Spokane, and I live in Moses Lake, and so it's the desert area, so we're doing pretty good up here.
Yeah.
Now, I had another question about the car. So
okay, sure.
How long can she drive that now? Is it going to be good for a while?
Drive it. Drive it and do it. Just pretend, just in her mind, just put it out of her mind, and it's fixed. I mean, it's a permanent fix. And in fact, to that end, a year from now, and this is Halloween 2018 week, right?
Yep.
So a year from now, you call back, and you don't have to wait a year to call back, but a year from now, put it in your back of your mind, and give me a shout back. And you know, if I'm still breathing, I'll be right here in this studio taking car questions and taking calls from folks like yourself. And let's see what it does a year from now. We'll know. Fair enough?
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. That's pretty cool there, Fabio. You know, and to that end, folks, when you go to, and not to do with serious engine problems, just normal engine problems or normal car maintenance, ask questions. actually, I think I have a better connection with women at the service desk than men, because women ask more questions. And no, they don't want to be technicians, or they don't care about the mechanics. They just want to know, well, what's wrong with my car? What's it going to take to fix it? How much is it going to cost? And also that's a great time to discuss with the owner of a car what he or she could have done to prevent that problem. So just like Larry's mom, something caused the engine to overheat and warp or blow a head gasket or whatever happened. She didn't get the full story, except that, and you know what? In all fairness to both his mom and to the shop owner probably said, "I've seen this before. I know it's going to take $6,000. So, ma'am, you're looking at $6,000, even without a formal report." That's a short-sighted report. He should have been a little more thorough and say, let's, and actually if he'd known about, the K-Seal, perhaps he would have given her that option as well, because he had everything to gain and she had everything to gain and nothing to lose. He make a customer for life. So, and now she from the feeling that I get from Larry, she said, well, he just told me $6,000 and, take it or leave it. And I just believe that the shop owner probably just threw out a number, or the service desk a number of what they're historically they've taken. And yeah, that's probably about right. But the bottom line is there's always options, and we in the business need to know that and remind ourselves that when we're talking to you, the car owners, here's what I would do if the car belonged to me, and that sort of brings it down to the bottom line. That puts yourself in the customer's shoes. I always do that, and I'm proud of that, and so does our team. That's all the time that we have for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I remind you, another great hour coming up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
October 21 to 27 is National Teen Driver Safety Week. Did you know that motor vehicle crashes are the #1 leading cause of death for teens aged 15 to 18? This week and every week, parents should talk to their teens about safe driving. Alcohol, not using a seatbelt, speeding, distracted, and drowsy driving all pose serious dangers. And when it comes to driving safety, there's no such thing as too safe. More tips, data, and insight can be found at driversed.com, where you can learn about all things related to driver education and safety.
At CarStar, we repair hundreds of different makes and models, but the name on the car isn't nearly as important as the name of the person who owns it. Because of CarStar, we don't just repair cars, we repair your car. There's only one like it in the world, and our expert technicians treat it that way. If you're ever in need of collision or storm damage repair, look for or ask your insurance company about the nearest CarStar, the auto body repair center with a nationwide guarantee. Check it out, carstar.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with. And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. This is our second hour of the day, 10 till noon Eastern Time, every Saturday, right here from the center of the automotive universe. That would be Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and I welcome you. I invite you to call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. I see that Jeff is in the queue when we come back from the timed break. I will take Jeff's call and be happy to put you on air as well if you have a car question or you have a comment or you have a great story like we just heard from Larry in Washington the first hour, whose mom was facing a $6,000 engine estimate and poured in a bottle of K-Seal and corrected and stopped the leak, and she's driving the car and all is well. I was so thrilled to hear that information because that's what I'm here for, to help you, to save you money, and also to help you spend your money wisely. Bobby Likis Car Clinic, I'm glad to say, is partnered with K-Seal. K-Seal is the one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair, including head gaskets and engine blocks, water pumps, and radiators. You can learn more at kseal.com. You can learn more by calling 888-227-2546. That's a fair segue there, huh? What do you think, Fabio? 888-227-2546. Your number to call me, and let's get started on Bobby Likis Car Clinic when I come back. Likis, you're going to love us. We recently worked on an 03 Buick Park Avenue with a 3.8 engine, and the vehicle had been a workhorse, 190,000 miles and more. That said, fuel economy had slipped from 24 mpg to 19. On cold startup, the check engine light flashed, in addition to rough idling. Engine fuel trim pointed toward carbon issues. A quick scan revealed random misfire code P0300. The codes were cleared, and after a visual inspection of the ignition system and fuel filter change, we added a can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool to a fresh tank of fuel. After a 400-mile round trip and a second can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, fuel economy was back to 24 miles per gallon and idle quality was restored. Many times, complex running issues are traced to carbon issues on today's vehicles. Fuel system maintenance starts with simple tank additives as the first step in carbon cleaning your engine. The next time your vehicle is sluggish or experiencing fuel economy that's not up to par, try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal really can be a lifesaver. A leaking freeze plug is definitely cause for concern. The plugs seal the cooling system and are a common cause of leaks on aging engines. And while the plugs themselves are not terribly expensive, replacement can be a tedious job. It's because most freeze plugs are difficult to gain access to, not to mention the fact that you have to drain and refill the entire cooling system. All of this ultimately makes for an expensive repair. So what can you do if your vehicle is only worth a few $1,000s? That's where K-Seal comes in. Pour K-Seal into the cooling system, and it will work to seal the system as you drive. Never clogs up. It also stays in the system and can help prevent future leaks as well. We've used K-Seal on many cars in our shop and have had great results. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers nationwide and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're going to go straight to the phones and talk with Jeff. Jeff has a 2016 Silverado and a question about extended warranty. Jeff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Bobby. Yes, I'm right down the road from you here in Pensacola.
Hey, that's cool, man. Thank you. What can I do for you?
I got a quick question. This 16 I have, I just bought it earlier this year, and it's got about 26,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And I got to thinking about the warranty on it, and the original warranty runs out in a couple months, and I got to thinking about an extended one. And I've never bought an extended warranty on any vehicle, and I'm 67 years old.
Right.
And it got in my mind that maybe I ought to get one of these. I wanted to see what you thought about extended warranties.
That's a left. I can talk out of both sides of my mouth here because one of the things, those Silverados really don't give a lot of issues if you service them regularly. But sooner or later, the air conditioning system is going to fail. And that could be compressor, and probably would be a compressor, and those sorts of things. So that's part of what's covered by extended warranties. So to that end, I think an extended warranty is an asset and worth the money. Having said that, and this is where the philosophical part comes in, having said that, if you took the money that you would spend for the extended warranty and spent the regular amount of maintenance money on the car and invested that money, then you could be your own warranty company. So, and I'll give you an example. The car that I drive is a 2013 Jaguar, and by all means, by all rights, I should have bought an extended warranty because I could get paid to fix my own car. But in the big scheme of things, I'm so particular about my vehicles and I maintain the car meticulously. The only problems or challenges that I'm going to have are things like a water pump, maybe an air conditioner compressor. So and also the cost of my car warranty probably is twice what the cost of your Chevy. Have you priced any extended warranties yet?
Well, I called Chevy originally and asked them about original manufacturer's warranty.
Right.
And they gave me a couple of dealerships within the 40-mile range of Pensacola.
Right.
And when I called them, they all said, no, we don't carry that anymore. So, I don't know about the General Motors, the GM EPP plan, but.
Here's what I would recommend that you do. Number one, I think it could be money well spent because, let's face it, over the life of the vehicle, you keep it a long time, you're going to have some breakdowns or some major components. I mean, even the transmission could go south on that vehicle. We've replaced some of those transmissions. Having said that, a good friend of mine had a transmission to go south, and he was on the road and called me. He stopped at a Chevy store, and they put one in for less than $3,500. I was surprised. And it was a Chevrolet dealership in Indiana, and it wasn't a special. It was just that they had a lot of them. Now, he had an older Avalanche, so I'm not sure it's the same transmission. I mean, it may well be. But here's what I would do. Because you are a local, I would call the folks at Frontier Motors, because we perform pre-purchase inspections for a lot of people, but for a lot of vehicles that they sell. And they have not only a fantastic reputation, but they also provide the opportunity to purchase extended warranties. So they would know which one would best suit you. And you feel free to tell them I sent you, because although they are a class act and they do really great work, I think that you should feel comfortable and ask questions about, okay, how many manufacturers, how many warranty companies do you are you a salesman for it? Because that's what they are. And by the way, to my knowledge, in our state, the cost of the extended warranty is set so that there's no deals, there's no discounts. It is whatever the price of the extended warranty is, what it is, and that saves a lot of consumers from, one person saying, "Oh, I paid $2,500." Well, gosh, I paid $4,000 for mine on the same car. That just won't happen. So that's my advice to you. I think you should look into it. If you want to call me back on another day, I'll be glad to talk about it. You don't have a vehicle that has all the bells and all the seats and 4-stage seats and 8-speed transmissions and those sorts of things. Is your truck a 4x or 2x?
It's a 4x.
Well, then that leads me to say maybe you should look into it, because that powertrain warranty is important. So now, having known that, I should have asked that to start with. Excuse me, Jeff. Yeah, do look into it. Get some prices. Feel free to call me back and make sure that all the electronics are covered. Make sure that, of course, the drivetrain is going to be covered, and make sure that you buy from someone who has represented so many companies, they know which ones not to represent the next time, because you learn by doing. You got it?
I got it, and I appreciate your comment about Frontier Motors. I have bought several cars from them in the past, and I really like the way they do business.
Yeah, Ivan runs a good ship there, Ivan Streckel. Hey, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for your call.
Thank you, Bobby.
Let's go to Missouri and take a call from Dave. Dave, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Yes. Bobby, you still there?
Yes, sir. I'm still right here.
I have a 2004 Silverado that I bought new with the 5.3 in it.
Okay.
And several years ago, I started getting a little valve noise, and my oil pressure would only run 20 to 30. Okay. And I stopped in one of the places then, and they said, well, yeah, some of them do that. Don't worry about that. That's plenty of oil pressure.
Not.
It's gotten to where it was in the 20 and below, and so I decided to maybe do something about the valve noise. And then when I started checking the price of that, then I also had some people mechanics tell me, well, you've got O-rings in the oil pan on the pump that go bad, and that would reduce your oil pressure. So I said, and I ran conventional oil in it for the first 5 years, and then I went to a synthetic on it and my car both. And so anyway, I told the mechanic, I said, well, before we tear into the top of that engine and spend that much money, why don't we drop the oil pan and check those O-rings? So he pulled it off, and he said, called me and said, this engine is so sludged up. So I went down and looked, and so I said, well, go ahead and change your oil rings. Let's put it back together. And I said, what about flushing it? And he said, oh, you better not flush it. He said, you'll get the oil, get some of that stuff loose and really stop something up. Well, in talking to other people and everything, anyway, I flushed it about 5 different times. I would drain the oil, put a new filter on it, and fill it with a couple of quarts of used oil and some diesel fuel and kerosene, and sit there and run it about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Dump that, put again, dump that, and then put my new oil in with a new filter.
Right.
I did that 3 different times. The last time, I guess I have stopped something up. Now, at highway speed or 2,000 RPM, it'll run 20. But when you pull up the traffic light, she goes all the way to 0, and the bell starts ringing, and the light starts flashing. So I'm looking at replacing the engine, and I can't decide. I found a couple of used engines. Of course, they got 100,000 miles on them, and you know they're going to run anywhere from 800 to 1,000. but a remanufactured GM engine is about 3,600.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't. I did before this come up. We dropped the pan again. I put a new oil pump on it, and while they were in there, we changed the timing chain.
Okay.
When they put it all back together,
Right.
I still don't have any better
No,
oil
that
pressure. So
won't.
now I'm looking at
Right. Yeah.
replacing an engine.
Yes, sir, you are. Here's the bottom line. The sludge was really a major factor there. I'm surprised you had the sludge, but the O-ring is
because my Buick, I've had the same. It's a 2000. I've had the same oil in it, and it'll set in idle. It's a 3.6,
right.
3.8.
So Dave, the O-ring problems with V8 Chevrolets is a common problem, and it's on the suction side of the pump in the block. And I've never seen one of those engines that had a bad oil pump. It was always the O-ring. But the fact that you tried to clean sludge and that sludge didn't help, it actually stopped up the screen. And there is another screen, it could be in the back of the block. I do agree with you, it's time to get a replacement engine. And when I come back from this break, so as not to be rushed, I'll give you my thoughts on what you should or should not do with that Chevrolet truck. Folks, don't touch the dial. I'll be back. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovative products to the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman Chem Dip Carburetor Parts Cleaner that helps remove gum, varnish, fuel residue, and other harmful deposits from carburetor parts and throttle bodies without heat, aeration, or agitation. Berryman Chem Dip Carburetor Parts Cleaner is safe to use with most plastic and metal carburetor and throttle body parts, including steel and aluminum alloys. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
You sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Glad to have you tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic today. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Johnson Controls, the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. You can learn more at autobatteries.com. Remember, AGM, autobatteries.com. We're talking with Dave in Missouri, and Dave, here's what I would do if I were you. I would invest in the Chevy Reman. You'd have a national warranty. You could drive anywhere in the U.S. and always have a Chevy dealer that would be able to service your vehicle or repair the engine that was put in at the dealership. So that's a good option. You mentioned a used engine. You're right, they're going to have 100,000 miles on it. Here's the challenge with that. Because it's a truck, now if it were a vehicle, other vehicle, I would certainly investigate that. But because it's a truck, you just don't see that many trucks in the recycling yard. And true, there could be some wrecked trucks that, so you could have a wrecked truck, a brand new one, but you've got an 04 vehicle. So you're going to need an engine specifically for your 04. Now, it could fit, that same engine could theoretically fit 01, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I mean, whatever that, and the recycler would know that. The challenge is when you get a remanufactured engine, like a transmission, all of the parts that are friction touching are to factory OEM specs in finish and fit. A rebuilt engine, don't even go there, because you don't rebuild engines, because number one, you'd be hard pressed to find a machine shop and a service shop that would be capable of doing it to the extent that you would get a lot of life out of it. So historically, that was an option. Today, that option doesn't exist, not that I know of, that I trust. So I wouldn't put my money in rebuild, period. Number two, I would put my money in a GM engine, and then there are other aftermarket companies that provide remanufactured engines that have 100,000 mile, 36-month warranties as well. So there's two options, or two sources rather. The GM dealer that you mentioned, and then O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I would talk to the counterman at O'Reilly Auto Parts and say, hey, I want to do this right. I want your input, your information on which manufacturer, and they may have one, or they could have several companies that they provide remanufactured engines. But if you talk face-to-face with a counterman at O'Reilly Auto Parts, he or she's going to say, well, this is the one we've had no problems with or the least problems with, and they stand behind the product. Just like if you wanted to find a local shop there in Missouri that would do the work, who better to know what shops have fewer returns on parts that were either bad parts or improperly installed parts. So it's a family. It's really using my position as a 47-year shop owner and my connection that I have with my parts vendors, of which O'Reilly Auto Parts is the main one, first call. So yeah, I depend on them, and I would have zero recommendations or reservations about recommending. So that's what I would do.
The mechanic I used, the one that I told to go ahead and change the oil pump, and
yes, sir.
We've done all this, and
Right.
It didn't work.
Right.
And he has a remanufactured company that he recommends, and it has the 100,000 36-month warranty.
Okay.
And the motor is maybe $400, $500 less than a GM remanufactured. But I was kind of leaning to go ahead and do the amount of money I'm putting in it, either way, to go ahead with the GM remanufactured.
Well, I don't know the brand of the engine that your technician, that the gentleman that's put the pump on, and I don't know what kind of relationship. I don't know what kind of relationship you have with that company, his company. I don't know how long they've been in business. It's all a matter, really. That $300 or $400 should not drive the bus. $300 or $400 are your decision. Your
That's
relation.
what I was thinking.
Your relation.
Bite the bullet.
But wait a minute. But wait, Dave. Here's the point: $300 or $400 shouldn't drive your bus or make your decision. The relationship you have with the service shop should be where the rubber meets the road. Because ultimately, $300 or $400 is not going to break you or make you. We know the GM's a quality product, but the other one could well be a quality product as well. Because I use an aftermarket company that I trust completely. The Challenge, they're a little pricey, but I've had zero problems. So when I look at you get what you pay for, then I've gone with that company. And I don't mind telling you who that is, Jasper. I'm not connected with them in any way.
He's recommended.
Well, that's a long block from Jasper, includes all of the updates. So they don't take an 04 engine and just put new pistons and cam in it. They take it and they upgrade to TSBs and bulletins that GM has found that were shortcomings when that engine was originally created. So I would have no reservations about recommending the Jasper product. And if you have a relationship with this service shop, you can make your decision to give them the business. You can always fall back on the Chevy store, granted, but the technicians that are going to be the same human beings that put that engine in. So you need to know the technician. You need to have a connection with the owner of that shop, and then see how they treat you. Of course, you've already done business with them, and compare that to the dealer. And whichever one you feel comfortable with, that's who you should go with.
All right. Well, that's kind of where I'm.
Okay.
Where I'm
all right.
Trying to decide which one to go with. So but if that was the brand of engine that he says they use.
Well, he's right. He's correct. I concur. I agree, and I'm with him. Hey, thanks for your call. Let me know how it works out. When you get to the other end, call me.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. So you see, folks, it's really more it being repairs, major or minor, about the relationship you have with the service shop. You either trust them or you don't. You either have a good feeling when you go in there or you don't. And if you have questions, ask questions. Let's go to Texas and take a call. Kevin, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Bobby, how are you doing today?
Terrific. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, I'm just getting along, the same old speed they do in Texas, not real fast.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Texas, what can I do for you? Let's talk cars.
Well, I'm looking at two different pickups. Both of them are Dodges. One is an 04, one's an 05. Both of them are Hemi engines.
Okay.
And the Hemi motor had come out about 2 years before I quit being a technician in a Dodge dealership, so I don't know too much about the life of them. But both of them one of them is equipped, got the moonroof and all, 154,000 miles. It's not as clean as the 04. That was the 05. But the 04's got 189,000 miles on it. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know what you thought about the Hemi engine and the life expectancy of one.
Well, that's a good question. In the past 10 years, I have never seen one of those engines fail. At least not in my service facility. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
I won't say the same for a Ford 5.4, the modular engine. I was in my younger days. I used to race Fords before I went to Hemis. I built rear-engine dragster motors, Hemis, and raced at the Gator Nationals. And really there at the end meaning when I quit racing, we were successful and we made a lot of power. And it was a half-inch stroker, 500 cubic inch Hemi engine, the old 426. Now fast forward to the newer version of the Hemi engine. They're fantastic engines. And Kevin, here's what I know about used cars, and because that's what you're talking about, used trucks or used engines, period.
Right.
You need to look at each individual vehicle to determine which one is the best buy, and the mileage doesn't count. The 185 plus and 150 plus, that just doesn't count. What counts is how it got from 0 miles to 100 plus thousand, and the person behind the driver's wheel who cared for the car. And you say, well, how do you do that? Well, it's relatively simple. Well, it's not relatively simple. You need to look down into the oil pickup, not the oil pickup, the oil spout where you put the oil in, the valve cover, and look into the engine. You know, you actually need to pull one of the valve covers off to see the cleanliness of the engine. That is the hardest evidence that you could get from buying a used engine, is to see the cleanliness of the interior of the engine. And to pull a cam cover is the simplest thing to do. You pull the stick, so what? You know, I can pull the stick and wipe it off, put it back in with new oil on an engine that has sludge, like the gentleman that called earlier, and the oil is going to be pretty or dark, but all oil is dark, but you can't see what's solidified. You can't see the sludge on a stick. So that's what I would recommend that you do. We offer and have for years a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. Again, it's an overview. We don't take anything off the car. We don't take anything apart, because the car that we are performing the pre-purchase inspection on doesn't belong to the person that brings it in. He or she brought it in for us to check it out before they bought it. So our service is it's inexpensive. It's a fantastic service. We saved a lot of people a lot of money. We've made a few dealers mad too, a few sellers mad. Here's the thing. Okay, number one, and I'll close with this, Kevin. Look at the interior of the engine. Even if you got to pull the cover off, so you pay somebody to pull the cover off. And if an owner wants to sell the truck, and you're going to pull the cover and look at it, and that's a prerequisite to you buying it, do it. That's what I would do, and ask for records, for service records of that vehicle, and understand when you buy a vehicle from an independent. When I say independent, from a private person, you have zero recourse. When you write the check and drive away, it's yours, baby. And I can tell you right now, there are horror stories about used cars. Just don't make sure that yours. I'm glad you called me, because you really need professional advice. So don't buy a car until you, or a used vehicle until you, especially with 150,000 miles on it, 04, 05, because time is against you on this buy. Age is worse than miles on today's vehicles. You got it?
Yes, sir. I got one last question.
Okay.
Can you flush a Hemi engine like that man did with the Chevrolet that had?
I would not recommend flushing, but you can call me on another day. Specifically, I have performed flushes on Cadillacs, and they can be successful. But I can't tell you in 10 seconds. I'll be back. Talking tunes. No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim explained that performance programmers aren't just for race cars.
While Superchip's Flash Pack is known for delivering impressive horsepower and torque gains on gas, diesel trucks, SUVs, and Jeep, one of the number one selling features of the product is added and increased fuel economy, whether you're towing, driving around town, or taking things off-road. The Superchips tow tune allows you to eliminate excessive downshifting, run in a higher gear, downshift less, lower your RPMs, and as a result, save fuel. The Scape has changed for performance programming, and we're not just for race cars anymore. We add vehicle performance and efficiency for trucks, SUVs, and Jeeps.
You can learn all about the new Dash Pack Plus and other great performance programmers at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
October 21 to 27 is National Teen Driver Safety Week. Did you know that motor vehicle crashes are the #1 leading cause of death for teens aged 15 to 18? This week and every week, parents should talk to their teens about safe driving. Alcohol, not using a seatbelt, speeding, distracted, and drowsy driving all pose serious dangers. And when it comes to driving safety, there's no such thing as too safe. More tips, data, and insight can be found at driversed.com, where you can learn about all things related to driver education and safety.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. She showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now, you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So let me clarify, if you heard that last call from Kevin from Texas, and I'll invite your calls at 888, and this is about engine flushes, okay? Internal oil engine flush in an engine. Why would you want to do that? A better question is, why would you need to do that? You would need to do that because, and let me give you the number to call. I'd love to have your input, and if it spurs some questions from you, really, that's what I'm here for. 888 Car Clinic is 888-227-2546. Miss Hannah will take your call, and I'll put you on the air. Now, so why would you think about flushing an engine? Number one, if an engine has been properly maintained and its oil changed at recommended intervals, you would not need to flush an engine. You would never need to flush an engine. And when I say never, we've serviced one particular automobile that I can think of, John's truck, and it has 468,000 miles on it. It's a Toyota Tundra, and the engine is quieter than my 13 50, 60,000, 58,000 mile Jag. It's the quietest engine. It runs as new, and as I remember, there's only been one occasion over its 468,000 miles that the check engine light came on. Now, we've put a lot of brakes on his car because he drives, you know, he's in real estate, so he goes from one end of the counties to the other end of the counties, and so forth. So we've put a lot of brakes, a lot of tires. We put a water pump. We put an air conditioning compressor on it. Let's see what else. Well, all the typical wear items that we've put, mostly brakes as I remember, but we've changed the oil in that vehicle and used synthetic oil since it had 6,000 miles on it. And I have personally seen the valve cover off of that engine. We had the valve cover off because when it came in for the check engine light, we thought, well, we had a timing issue. We pulled it to inspect it, and I still have pictures of that vehicle. In fact, you can go to Pinterest.com/Bobby Likis, and you can see in the shop on our board, and you can see pictures of this engine. Anyway, fast forward, why would you want to flush an engine? Number one, the only way that sludge builds up is if it didn't have its oil changed properly and on schedule, regular schedule maintenance, or the thermostat was open and it was running too cold, and that will cause sludge to build up as well. And I could say, well, you could use cheap oil, but folks, if you use, it's hard to get a bad quart of oil these days if it has the API Starburst on the can. And I could sit here and name a bunch of brands, Mobil One, Castrol, Valvoline, any of the name brand oils, and if you've got a Chevrolet, it's Dexos oil, but General Motors does not make oil, so it's not their oil anyway. It's just to their specs. Ford, Toyota, Porsche, those companies don't make, they're not in the oil business, but they do create a specification for the oil companies. So when GM came out with a Dexos oil spec, all of the companies had to add the little droplet or two or whatever formula to their existing oil to meet the spec. Otherwise, you couldn't use it in your GM car. But no GM dealer sells a GM oil. It doesn't have GM on the can because it's not. a GM-made product. Having said that, if you change your oil regularly and you use a quality oil, and you think about when those times that come up like the engine overheats, now that's another issue. Let's say you had 2,000 miles on the oil and for some reason a belt breaks and the engine overheats. So you take it in and you put a new belt on it or a new water pump or whatever, but because it only had 2,000 miles on the oil, you're not going to change the oil, and neither is the shop because they didn't think about it. But it should, because that oil is scorched, and that's the beginning of sludge. So that's why when someone says, I need to, desludge my engine, there's a reason that the sludge built up. Should you flush an engine? And the answer is not if it's a severe case of engine sludge. You can't get it out. All you can do is break it loose and cause problems. Having said that, I have I have flushed several Cadillac engines, not for sludge removal, but for carbon removal on the pistons, because the folks that would drive those Cadillacs, North Star being what comes to mind, and the primary target of engine flushes here at my business, the North Star, because they had 300 horsepower, and most of the folks that drove those Cadillacs were very conservative drivers, and the engine got lazy, and the engine built up carbon, and they started using oil. I actually had one Cadillac owner to drive from South Florida to the center of the automotive universe here in Pensacola, and we took that engine that was using a quart of oil every 300 miles, and now it uses a quart of oil every 2,000 miles or 1,500 miles. I got a report back within 2 months from this gentleman, and it was a success. But it wasn't to remove sludge, it was to decarbonize the piston rings, because the rings had stuck because the engine wasn't exercised for conservative driving. So the next time you pull on an interstate and there's a free lane ahead of you, there's no cars ahead of you, your engine is up to operating temperature, nail the throttle, accelerate briskly. Only under WOT, wide open throttle, are you not building carbon. Really? And I practice that. And as a result, my engine gets the same gas mileage every time within a few tenths of a gallon. Granted, I check every tank, and it runs absolutely as well today as it did 5 years ago when I bought the car. Let's go to take a call from Glenn. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding. Glenn, you're on the air.
Great program.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a 1999 E150.
Right.
And I have a unique problem. Most of the time, the problem starts by a shrill whistle, just a brief shrill whistle in the engine compartment in front of the steering wheel. And then my temperature gauge will immediately max out at the top, and the oil pressure light will come on. Now I can pull over, stop the engine, put it in park, stop the engine, restart it, and everything goes back to normal. But when that happens, I do lose power.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 99 Ford E150.
Oh, okay. E150. 99
Yeah.
Ford.
5.4.
There's does it ever, would you say that it was like a moan, like that?
No, it's more like a...
Okay. Ford, gosh, I don't know what's wrong with it, but I have an idea. Okay, Clint?
Okay.
All right. So Ford had a TSB. Gosh, you're going back a lot of years. But Ford had a TSB of a startup noise, and it was a PCV, not evap hose, a PCV vacuum hose on the intake manifold that if you looked at it, it looked like maybe a 1 inch diameter or a 3/4 inch diameter rubber hose, and you could touch it, and it looked fine, and it inspected okay. However, if you lifted it up, which you wouldn't normally do, and looked at its belly, it had folded like the underside of a well, I can't bring. Anyway, the bottom line is, I would check all of the rubber vacuum hoses on the engine, the PCV system. I would check the intake manifold as well, because intake manifolds are on the crossover, and there's a crossover for the thermostat where the thermostat is, Glenn, right behind the alternator, and that is that intake manifold is Bakelite or a plastic material, and the replacement is the same material, except the crossover part that breaks on those vehicles and usually leaks coolant is aluminum. So the original Ford part is all plastic. The replacement part is plastic plus aluminum, and that aluminum is where the thermostat goes across. So that's what I would check if I were you, because I think it's an intake. Now, quite candidly, that has nothing to do with oil pressure at all. You said oil pressure light comes on. It would have to do with the temperature light, but not the oil pressure. So something really funky is going on with your engine there.
Yeah, I don't know. The whistle sounds like to me like a vacuum whistle.
Yeah, and so
when it happens,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So Glenn, let's take one bite of that elephant at a time. Focus on the vacuum system first, and if that corrects your problem, even to the close inspection, have a shop perform this, because we know about those Fords. It's much easier than some of the other cars on the market, only because they, for the most part, have the same problems, like broken spark plugs and coils that go bad, and intake manifolds that crack, and PCV systems that fail and crack. So do check all of the above, and let me know what you find, and have a shop to check it out for you. You got it?
Sounds good.
Okay, my friend. Thank you for your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So
I mentioned earlier about in the first hour, I think it was the first hour, about football fields and SEMA, specialty equipment manufacturer. So that's in Vegas, and it's this week. It's a big deal. I mean, so is Halloween. It's a big deal this week. But the folks at Motorrad, and Motorrad has the largest combined offerings and available applications for thermostats and caps, and to do with your cooling system. We were just talking about a cooling system, so this came to mind. So Motorrad is facing and looking at their 60th anniversary. That's a milestone, it really. And what they're doing is Monday Night Football at the Likis Stadium in the Palazzo in Las Vegas is this terrific event that if you're in the business and you're going to be in Las Vegas at the show, then it's really time for you to go. It's the annual Monday Night Football. It's their 8th, as I understand, and it's the 29th. It starts at 5:30, and you check it out. And this information is courtesy of Matt Buchholz, and Matt is the president and general manager of Motorrad of America. And the reason I say Motorrad of America is because Motorrad has headquarters in, let's see, where all they have. In the USA, in Europe, in Mexico, in China, and Israel. So they're a large company, and they make products that best fit your automobile. Check them out. Go to Motorrad USA for more information. You know, every Saturday when I come in, I sit down in the studio, I have my notes, and I have some information that I want to share with you, information that I got that week. And for instance, the MPG, or the gas prices rather, not the MPG, but the gas prices this week, $2.84, and that's the national average, which, by the way, happens to be higher than it was. The price of gas is higher than it was same time last year. However, in all 10 regions, in 8 of those regions, it's lower than it was last week. But it really doesn't matter, because if it goes up and down and weekly, what matters is how high is it now as compared to a year ago. So it's higher than it was in every region in the United States at $2.87.9 for regular grade gasoline. And get this, on the West Coast is $3.49. That's $3.49.9. I don't know why they say $3.49.9. It's $3.50 in the way you look at it, a gallon. And you go to fill up a Tahoe, you're looking at $100. I mean, you know, that's a lot of money. So all the more reason why you should tune in to this program ask your questions, and I'll share with you information that'll save you money and keep your car on the road. I know how to do that because I have the experience in it, and to that end, every week, some 50 or 60 hours, we operate Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service pre-repair right here on the beautiful Gulf Coast of Florida, in Pensacola, Florida. Some 47 years we're celebrating. So when we diligently service and repair and maintain our customers' cars, I learn every week. OJT, I learn from schools, I learn from technical service bulletins, and then I share that information with you on Saturday. I don't know all the answers, no one does, but I can tell you that I can help you better communicate with your service shop and understand the operation of your car. Just like I go back to the flushing of an engine. I've seen so many engines that were sludged up. I actually had another chain store, big box store that operates automotive shops across the nation, to send me, a lady went in to change her oil, and they sent her to me because it had such sludge they wouldn't touch it. And we did help her out. We did manage to save her. Folks, that's all the time we have for today's broadcast. I sure appreciate you tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon. And a special thanks to our Bobby Likis Car Clinic Network team, Diane Summer, the Executive Vice President of the Car Clinic Network, Jeff Firestone, Executive Producer, our own in-house studio producer, Fabio Aruz, Adios. Is that correct, Fabio?
It's Aruz.
Aruz, thank you. You're a neat guy. I'll tell you, you just do such a great job. The timing that you provide for this broadcast is fabulous. And Jonathan Sloan, our show logger and jack of all trades. And, of course, Hannah Geis, our terrific call screener. And then finally, I couldn't mention anyone without mentioning Angel Bordone. And Angel is our longtime technical director in New York's Westwood One Satellite Studios. And remember, folks, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm your host, Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. I'm proud to be a part of the Automotive Experts Media Group, AEMG. I'll see you next Saturday, same time, same station. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually